Alright, so for the first question, got my little cheat sheet here. This is sort of a weird one from Detective John Kimball in Astoria, Oregon, who asks, "Who is your daddy and what does he do?" What is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Today I will be doing the next Q&A video. If this is your first time checking out one of these Q&A videos, please note I take all of these questions directly from viewers, either commenting here on YouTube videos, on Tacoma World, Instagram, you name it. So if you've got a question, don't be shy, post it up below and I might just add it to the next video. Alright, next question from Chance Reynolds, who asks, going to add any comms like a CB or ham radio for the trails? And then he also asks if I plan on wiring in an air compressor. This is an easy one to answer. Yes to all. For the air compressor, for the time being, I just have a small DeWalt air compressor I'm using because I used to do carpentry work. So it's small enough to fit in the back seat when I have it folded down if I go on the trails. So that's what I've been using for now. Definitely handy, airing down your tires and then airing back up when you're done. I do plan on eventually getting one of the ARB, either the single or the twin compressors that it looks like a lot of people have successfully fit them under the hood. So I am looking into doing that and possibly, to elaborate on that, possibly getting into a dual battery setup as well. Got to do a little research on that first, and there's plenty of other mods to tackle before I get to that, but it is definitely on the list. Same thing for the comms. I can't remember where it was I saw in Tacoma World, but someone mounted a nice, well-reviewed CB radio in the dash, it's sort of tucked in the dash, and the only thing sticking out from the dash is the actual speaking device, so that's kind of nice, tucked away. I've seen others sort of mounted, where your right knee is, sort of hanging off the middle console right there, and I don't really like that, so I'm going to try to get that tucked away. It would definitely be useful on the trails, because a few of the guys I've gone out with, they have their own CBs, and it's useful to talk to. So you're not screaming at each other while you're trying to go over an obstacle or something like that. Next question from Miles Zugelder, who I know has asked questions in the past. Would you ever consider hosting a Tacoma meetup somewhere in Virginia? Absolutely. We sort of organize little mini meets where either we get together and, just have a beer or two and talk about trucks. And then we also organize our little trail runs. Virginia's sort of a weird state to live in for off-roading because the closest decent trail is about an hour away, which isn't crazy far, but there's definitely, I'm in Northern Virginia, there's some better trails down south and west once you get into the Appalachian Mountains a little. And I've even talked with Taco Bandit, who if you guys haven't been following his channel, definitely check it out. He's down at Virginia Tech, so we are talking about doing some kind of meetup at some point in the future, so definitely look into all that and maybe get something huge together, and I will surely let you guys know about that when everything's set in stone. And next up from Brandon Franks, he mentions the pedal commander. So I assume the question is, am I considering getting a pedal commander at some point? And I have thought about it. It's a little pricey for me to jump on right now. Like I said earlier, plenty of other mods I have on the list right now with higher priority. For those of you that don't know, the pedal commander is an electronic device you can install on your truck, and there's different settings, so it controls the pedal for you pretty much, sort of like it sounds like, so it'll limit your RPMs. Hopefully, most people are getting it to hopefully get better gas mileage, which is always an issue with Tacomas. But I guess they have a performance mode as well if you're not worried about that, so it'll be kind of like shutting it off. And I think there's 4 or 5 settings. If I remember correctly, it's about $200 though. So I have plenty of other mods to spend that money on for the time being, but I'm looking into it definitely in the future. I know Rob DeMann, who has a 3rd gen Tacoma. Check out his YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below for him. He has done a review on the pedal commander for the 3rd gen Tacomas, and I would assume pretty similar for a 2nd gen, so if you want immediate information on that, I definitely encourage you to go check out his video. And for the next question from Mike Bevel, who asks, he says, I know you're running old Man Emu 887s. Can you go over the old Man Emu coil options and how I chose the ones I'm running? I know you probably can't see because they are black and everything's sort of blended in right there, but if you did not know, the 887s are the front coils for lifting the front end of your truck that replace the factory springs. I'm actually pairing my old Man Emu 887s with the Bilstein 5100 adjustable shocks, and I have the 5100s on the 0 or lowest setting, so the shock is not giving me any lift. I have the spring doing that, so it helps the ride a lot better, so it's not preloading the actual shock. So, and the information I'm about to give you on the old Man Emu coils is specifically for second gens, because I believe for the third gens they sort of redid the numbering for them. So I might do a follow-up video on that in the future. I'm not sure. I'd have to do a little research because I'm unfamiliar with how they categorize them. For the old Man Emu, for the second gens, I want to say there's 4 or 5 different coil choices, but the main 3 I'm going to go over are the old Man Emu 885s, the 886s, and what I have is the 887s. The biggest difference between all of those 3, specifically between the 886s and the 887s, is going to be the spring rate, which I will probably change from an 887 to an 886 at some point, because the 886s are specifically designed to support much more weight up front without sagging. So I'll do that when I get an off-road front steel bumper and a winch, because that's going to add probably about 250 pounds, I would guess. And I don't want this dropping any, so the 886s are designed specifically for heavy weight. You can certainly run 886s without that weight, but the ride's probably going to be much more stiff, so just be warned. The 885s are sort of just the, I don't want to say average, but they're like the middle level coil. It's probably going to give you about 2 to 2.5 inches of lift, and that, I believe that's probably what most people go with. Nothing wrong with those. They have a standard spring rate. I'm trying to remember what those are. I want to say it's 600 or 650 pounds, whereas the 886s are closer to 700. The ones I specifically went with, the 887s, these are going to give you the most lift. On the websites it says 3 inches, but I got about 4 inches from mine to begin with, and then they sagged down to about 3 to 3.5 inches. So it's giving me plenty of clearance, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm using the old Man Emu 887 spring to achieve my lift and avoid preloading my coils. So I'd always recommend doing that for that ride quality. My truck with the aftermarket suspension components, it rides, if not exactly like stock, then slightly better, which is always good, because usually when you lift your truck, the first thing that's going to go is the ride quality. Not like any of us are really buying a Tacoma for the ride quality anyway, but it's always nice if you can avoid it. And the next question from NVYT, he asks, why did you choose the Tacoma over the other trucks, meaning the competition? That's a pretty easy one to answer. First of all, reliability of the Tacoma, it's been proven. You know, they last forever with basic maintenance, so that's definitely a plus. And for me, it's the practicality. I know I wanted a truck / needed, because I do home projects every now and then, so I need the bed to be able to haul stuff from Home Depot or Lowe's. But I definitely did not need a full-size truck. It always kills me when I hear people complain about the bed capacity of the Tacoma, or the tow rating, all that stuff. And it seems pretty obvious to me that if you're going to complain about that stuff, you probably should have gotten a Tundra or another full-size truck to begin with. So for me, the Tacoma is the perfect balance of, they're not considered really small trucks anymore, more mid-size. So perfect balance of practicality, fun, reliability, all that stuff. And the final question for this Q&A segment comes from Texas ADV. Is it a better idea or cheaper or easier, etc., to buy a top spec Tacoma or just buy a base spec rig and build it up? Obviously the answer to this is really dependent on your personal tastes. The TRD Pros, which is the top spec as of right now, they're certainly fantastic, and they are certainly capable, and they are certainly expensive, which if you'd seen the sticker prices are usually around $40,000, but I've seen dealer markups, at least here in Northern Virginia, which puts it closer to $50,000. So if you just compare, say, base sticker prices without, any dealer markups, geographical influence, all that stuff, you're probably looking at least $7,000 to $8,000 price difference between a TRD Pro and, say, a TRD Off-Road. And as Texas ADV mentions, if you just get a base model Tacoma 4x4 like an SR5, I believe, that's probably at least going to be a couple $1,000s cheaper than the off-road. So you're looking about between, say $7,000, $8,000, even $10,000 price difference, which you can dump 10 grand into a base model 4x4 Tacoma and make it be able to tackle anything, I would imagine. You could put a top tier suspension on there, the best tires in the world. You could add a front locker, you could add a rear locker, ARB air lockers, armor it up, all that stuff. That's certainly not cheap, but then again, neither is buying a fully trail-ready TRD Pro. I know the one of the appealing aspects of the TRD Pro is everything's done for you, and it's done from the factory, so everything's warranted. You break something, you know, when you're off-road, bust a shock, you should be able to get that replaced by Toyota on their dime. So obviously, if you're doing everything yourself, you may void the warranty first of all, and you're gonna have to pay for anything you fix if you bust it on the trail. So again, that's just really depends on what you want, you know, where you want the build to go. Buying a Tacoma, if you know you're going to get onto off-roading, you definitely need to do your research and figure out, you know, what's the end goal. Don't just start buying stuff without really doing your research, which is what I did when I started this. You're going to end up wasting a lot of money and time and just get frustrated. So there's plenty of mods out there to spend your money on, so it's best if you can make it as streamlined, as efficient as possible. So I love the TRD Pros. They are great. Who knows, maybe I'll get one at some point, but you can certainly trick out a base model or an off-road or a sport or whatever Tacoma to match and then exceed the Pro for what the price of the Pro costs. Okay everyone, that will do it for another Q&A segment. If you have never asked a question before, please don't be afraid. Go ahead and comment below. I will answer and give my opinion on anything Tacoma related, so go ahead and do it. If this is your first time stopping by, please consider subscribing, comment below, hit the like button, and the bell notification so you're notified every time I upload, which is twice a week guaranteed. And I will see you in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.